Hello anybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Pikmin. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and in the last episode, we got the rest of the parts in the distant spring and finished that whole area up, and in today's episode, we are going to be going between a couple of these areas. I'm hoping to finish each of these last three areas in one day each, because of the number of parts left in the area. It's going to be a little ambitious for the Forest of Hope and for the Forest Navel, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to pull it off. It's been a while since I recorded, so hopefully I'm not too rusty. First things first, though, we're going to take a short detour to the impact site. You only need to visit the impact site on one day after the first day for the completion's sake, but there are two special enemies that spawn here that you can only see after, like, day 6, so it's like 7 and on every other and on every on every odd number date, and then a monster that appears on every even number date after like day 8 or something. So that's why I'm taking a brief pit stop here. I'm not going to spend the whole day here. I'm just going to show off the enemy in question, and the reason I'm bringing a whole bunch of blue Pikmin is because it might be water themed. I don't know, I forget, but yeah, basically this area is also a fairly good area if you need to restock on your Pikmin numbers and you have the extra day to spare, which is very likely, given that, well, as you've seen throughout this Let's Play, there were plenty of days where I was able to get upwards of the number that upwards of 1 part per day. Even though there's 30 days and 30 parts, which kind of gives you a system where you can earn like 1 part per day, it's more realistic that you won't need every single day for every single part. In any case, now that we've come up here to this unique arena, that will spawn Gulix, this one of the unique enemies I was talking about. It cannot hurt your blue Pikmin, but it will drown your other Pikmin if they touch the water. What you gotta do is you have 2 choices in fighting it. You either swarm this little core it has, I guess you could call that. It's nuclei. It has 2 nucleuses. Two nuclei, that is the plural. And it's gonna, of course, chase Olimar, but you can also try and throw Pikmin at the ball in the center, and that will also do damage. So, and it'll also send your Pikmin flying, so look out for that. It does take a while to kill, but I am just going to show off killing it before we exit this area and go somewhere else. And yes, I'm not going to finish up this area today. I'm going to be taking care of that probably tomorrow. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because, well, again, I try to be a comprehensive Let's Player. I try to show off as much content as I can, and the 2 unique enemies, and it's dead. And the Pikmin have a shower party, but now we have to pretend like that never happened, so let's continue from last save. But yeah, I'm a comprehensive Let's Player, and that basically just means that I try to show off everything in a game that I can, and the 2 enemies in this area only show up in this area of the game, because Pikmin has a lot of unique enemies. So I wanted to show off both of the enemies the best way I could, and tomorrow I'll be showing off the other enemy that uniquely appears there. Okay, that all being said, let's go to the Forest of Hope, and hopefully we'll be able to get the last 3 parts. It's going to be a bit of a pinch, not as hard as the Forest Navel is going to be, but I am very optimistic. For today's mission, we are again going to be taking 100 blues. I know we've been using a lot of blue Pikmin, but that's just because a lot of these parts are going to need water, or at least will be easiest to get with water, or will be easiest to get via water paths. What is the button for the map? So we got 1 part over here, we got a couple parts over here. So this is actually going to be fairly tight, I think, and I'm kind of worried that I won't be able to do it, but, well, no one ever wins by being negative Nancy's. So first things first, we got to clear out some enemies and kill them until they're dead. First things first, I'm gonna head up and get this part. No, not start button. Man, it's been a while. And yeah, I'm gonna want to get that part since it's just distance from the other one. And the other Pikmin survived. I think this is the path we go. Isn't it? No, that is not the path we want to go on. I am dumb. That was a bad idea, and I just wasted a little bit of time. I went the wrong way, but I had to kill those little bulb orbs anyway. I don't think they're called bulb orbs. Are they? Mini bulb orbs? No. Ah, they had a specific name, too. dwarf bulborbs. Even though Pikmin 2 goes into this more in the lore of monsters, the dwarf bulborbs aren't actually bulborbs. They're apparently like parasites that are mimicking the bulborb rather than actual bulborbs themselves. And it looks like these Pikmin are going to be working on that for a little bit, but I'm going to let them just do that for a while. I don't like these walls sometimes. It's going to make it hard. Oh god, this slowdown. But yeah, I don't like the walls all the time like these because just because. Wow, I am just great with words today. I don't like these walls necessarily because of how they just... A lot of the time, they'll just waste your time. That's all there is really to it. First things first, we're going to set these guys on here and get them to work on that wall. Hopefully they won't take too long, and while they do that, we're going to help in clearing out the pathway back to the ship. So that just means we're going to bum rush this guy. I don't have as many Pikmin as I'd like, but again, the bulborb bum rushing strategy works pretty well, and it looks like there were no deaths today. No deaths yet. There's probably going to be deaths today, and it would be great if Pikmin didn't get distracted by the stupidest, most inconsequential crap. In Pikmin 2, I think I've mentioned this before, the game actually has the kindness to give you a second captain, so that makes it easier, a lot easier to multitask than in the other game. So I just killed those sheer grubs because they might be in the way. Get back here! I am not taking care of this the best way that I probably could, but that's okay. Gonna just swarm these guys because recklessness wins the day. So again, well, not again, I guess technically for the first time, enemies will respawn after a while, and in bigger numbers, and as the days go on, the enemies that come into the world become gradually more difficult over time. Now, since it's only day 11, the enemies aren't that hard yet, and we're not actually going to see a lot of the harder enemies in the game because, well, there's not really a point in drawing this out a lot longer than I have to. But the point of that all was just to say that we're pretty fortunate. Basically, the longer you take to beat the game, the harder it is to beat the game. Like, it gets more difficult. But I guess the idea is that, oh god, this is bad. We don't want to fight that bulborb right now. We just don't. We just do not want to fight him. Would you stop attacking sprouts and buds? This is a bad day for Pikmin to get distracted on. It's just not good. This is just not ideal. You want to keep everything as organized as you can when you're going for like 3 parts in one day. And these 3 parts, one of them isn't so bad, but 2 of them are pretty challenging to deal with. So first things first, I'm going to... Would you stop doing that, using that thing? First things first, I'm going to want to set these Pikmin on this bridge. And it sounds like the other Pikmin have finished their job in tearing down that wall, which means they're probably... Are they gonna die? I got a bad feeling about this. Because, as you saw on the other side of the wall, there was another armored cannon beetle, and if it notices them just hanging out next to its place, we're gonna have a bad time. They're gonna have a bad time specifically. But no, it looks like we're still okay, we're still in the clear. And you don't actually have to kill the armored cannon beetle. You just have to, the part's right over there, but it does help to kill them. It does help to murder. Murder always helps because, well, it's murder. It's a good avenue of getting things done. And again, the armored cannon beetle, and I say again, but it's mostly for the first time, it's easy to deal with. I just killed it. Killed it in one go. This is going pretty well so far. And this part I've wanted to get for a while now.
At last, my radiation canopy. This turns the harsh radiation of deep space into soft infrared rays that are easy on the body. I'll sleep like a baby once I get back to back to the ship.
This is the cover to the cockpit, in case that wasn't clear. This whole time we've been going up into space, and Olimar has not had any protection from, like, the atmosphere, as he's just been exposed. That's gotta suck. Like, I don't know the details of his suit or whatever, but I've wanted to get this for a while just because it looks really nice on filling out the ship. And I've been kind of bummed that I haven't been getting that done. But anyway, we're gonna get these other Pikmin over here and get them ready to go. We're gonna grab them, and we are gonna take them down into the water. Never mind these. These are wogpoles, I think. They're basically tadpole versions of Wollywogs, and we are going to build a bridge over here for these guys to get working on, which means we'll just mash the button like crazy until they finish building it. And in the meantime, they get our cockpick, and that fills that in.
Radiation canopy. I'll have to inspect it later to make sure it hasn't cracked. I'll be in even more trouble if I have any radiation leaks. I've now recovered 23 of 30 parts. If I can just find 6 more, I should be able to increase my ship's capabilities.
So doing well so far, we're at about the halfway point of the day, but these last couple parts should be not too big of a deal. Hopefully, I'm kind of being optimistic, but we'll see. What we're gonna do with these other Pikmin, though, also that was the other part, in case it wasn't clear, that's the one of the other parts, if I didn't say that out loud, but funnily enough, that's a necessary part, even though it's purely decorative, but I think, well, I don't know. Again, I don't understand. We've been over before how this game doesn't seem to really necessarily give a crap whether or not a part is sensibly optional or not, although some of them do make sense. Some of them. What the... Why was this guy awake? I don't trust him. He is suspicious, and he must die. And we don't have as many Pikmin on him, so I have a feeling this is gonna not be great for our numbers. Oh yeah, this is... Well, that could have gone a little bit better, but... Only 8 Pikmin lost. I mean, considering how many reckless bum rushes we've done today, I'd say we're still doing pretty good. We're still fairly in the clear. So, you need blue Pikmin to push this box across the ledge, and one of the reasons I'm using blue Pikmin is because of this little part right here, this little bland bridge. If you try to bring other Pikmin across it, it's very likely that they're just gonna fall off into the water and just drown a whole bunch, and that's annoying. But if we come over to this field, we're gonna run into new enemies. These are burrowing Snagrets. They are basically boss level enemies, and they're deadly, and but they're not as bad as you might think. This, I think, is the one we want to kill, because it's the source of the star. The other ones just drop pellets, but... Well, you need to be careful around these bird snakes. What you want to do is get some distance from them so they can't reach you. So the next time they try to burrow up from the ground, that was not what I wanted to do. We're going to want to escape. Oh boy. Well, that's bad. So it eats a few of our Pikmin, and that's not good. What we want is to keep our distance, because in that case, we want it to get its head stuck in the ground, but it's not doing that, and it's eating our Pikmin. That's annoying. This is not going well. Our day has been going well, except for this fight, so that's a little bit frustrating. Go down and get your head stuck in the... There it is! That was not as good as I wanted it to be, but that's okay because we're now actually getting damage on it, and even though that's not as much damage as I would like. And unfortunately, again, the Pikmin AI is just kind of garbage in this game. You don't want them to attack it, but there's no way to really do anything about it if they get caught on it. Go underground. Where are you? It's not getting stuck as much as I'd like for it to get stuck, unfortunately. So this is problematic. Maybe I should not be relying so much on it getting stuck so much as I should be going right for its head, but that's usually it gets stuck a lot more often. And see, but when it does get stuck, look at its health just drop right off. And it gets stuck again. It's basically a random chance, and that is why you want to take that method. It's just a lot safer than throwing it at its head, because if you miss, you're basically screwed. And our prize is the Geiger counter.
Every spaceship needs one of these, but I don't actually know what it's for. Every once in a while it goes wild and lets out a lot of noise, but I never pay much attention to it, so it doesn't do me much good. I really should read that manual one of these days. It's kind of funny because he knows about radiation, what with the other thing, but, well, never mind. Now here we're going to be a little bit chancy, and we're going to hope
that these guys don't just... They take this path. Yeah, go down there. Just go flying off the ledge. Just ignore the snag rig. Good Pikmin. See, they're not always complete idiots. They can be smart sometimes. They can be smart. And as for these Pikmin, we can put them on the last part. So it looks like today was a success after all, because I can't see them taking too long in getting this part back.
I found my Sagittarius. My son gave this to me as a present. It brings to mind visions of my son back home on planet Hockatate. Oh, to be back there right now.
Yeah, you keep reminiscing and all that. Today was another great day for blue Pikmin. Even though some people don't like blue Pikmin, I'm looking at you, Smogwastikin. But, well, Smogswastikin. Smogwastikin. And since we have some time left, we may as well grab some bodies to replenish the numbers that were lost in the bloodshed. Just a little bit. I'm not sure if this appears on the ship. Actually, I think it does. It appears on the outside of the ship. That's kind of a weird place for it.
Geiger counter. This noisy gauge is always letting off spontaneous clicks and buzzes. It can be kind of annoying.
So 24 of 30 parts, and we're just about done with the Forest of Hope. Return visit Forest of Hope. There's not a lot to say about it. It doesn't change particularly much, but it does introduce harder enemies later on. Not that many, though. For the most part, the only one I can really think of off the top of my head is, like, the only late-game enemy, so to speak, is the swooping snitch bug. And as an actual enemy, it's not that hard to deal with. So, whatever. And that piece actually appears up on the side of our ship as a nice little decorative piece.
Sagittarius, this was a gift from my son. He must be very worried about me.
25 of 30. We are so close. 4 more parts. That's as many parts as we can get in one day. Well, not in the one day that we want to do, but if all the parts were in one area, I mean, we've gotten 4 parts in one day before, is the thesis of this argument. I talk too much sometimes. And so, as this blue Pikmin just send up the last corpse of our enemy, we're gonna take this moment to quickly reflower as many blue Pikmin as we can. We're not gonna spend like the rest of the day here like we did in the distant spring, and I'm sorry about that I spent all that time there, if that bothered you. But yeah, looks like we basically flowered as many Pikmin as we can, although we have a couple of stray Pikmin out in the wild that we don't want to lose. I see you lounging. Don't lie back down, you cocky little... Yeah, my audio's peaking again. That was not good for that. And this guy is just kind of... Well, that was something. It actually is really cute, the animations you can see on the Pikmin when you zoom in. It's surprisingly detailed. This game does have a lot of detail in it, even if just enough to kind of give the Pikmin personality so they aren't just stiff little automatons. But we're just going to go to sunset because we got all the parts, we have all our Pikmin, and there's no point in waiting for the countdown. So we walk through our legions of blue Pikmin where they flail their little arms, and of course, they go into their onion. Because why not? It's nice to see the ship is really coming together. There's only just a few parts left. There's that little tail fin and, well, the other piece that looks like the Sagittarius, but we'll see that.
11 days since impact. If I can find just 5 more parts, the dolphin will be fully rebuilt. But time has grown short. No, it hasn't. I must not flag in my search. Even if I cannot recover every piece, I will not give up. Surely some of those parts aren't absolutely necessary. I can almost see my smiling family.
Blues went down and blues went up. Otherwise, today was really productive. Reds and yellows get another day off. The blue Pikmin they have to work the hardest because they're just plain the most versatile of the Pikmin, even if they're not necessarily as strong as the reds. But anyway, I think that is sufficient work that we've done today. We've got 3 parts, we finished up the Forest of Hope, and then tomorrow we'll be heading back to finish up the Impact site. That'll be our break before we go to the Forest Naval and struggle to get those last 3 parts. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and I hope to see somebody in the next one. Bye-bye!